What's up, YouTube? Lucky Tattooing here, and today we're going to talk about the A90 Supra. All right, guys, so I've owned the car about a week now, and I think that I can finally give a fair assessment on what I think about it. I just wanted to quickly talk about some of the highlights, the key points, and maybe some of the things I don't like about it, especially if you're in the market to maybe get one, or, you know, you're just looking for some reasonable resources from an actual owner currently. So let's talk about it. One thing I want to point out first is I'm an actual car enthusiast, so I'm not stuck or restricted to one category. I'm not just a JDM guy. I'm not just a domestic guy or import guy. I've owned a lot of different cars in different vehicle platforms. I've tuned them, built them, all that good stuff. As you see, I have a Z06 sitting next to my Supra. I actually traded in my Hellcat for the Supra. My Hellcat was putting down about 820 wheel horsepower. I've had two Hellcats. I've had two R35 GTRs. I've had a handful of Corvettes. I've had BMW M3s, M5s. So I've specifically bought a lot of vehicles in different categories, from old school to new school to muscle to JDM to imports. I've had 240SXs. Not bragging, just telling you guys, I've owned a lot of cars. So with that being said, this thing is an absolute blast to drive. The sounds that it makes stock, it is just amazing. I really enjoy the handling. It's rear wheel drive, so you still get that fun, sporty feeling without being all wheel drive. Like, that was one of the problems I had with my R35, the GTR. It's all-wheel drive. It took a lot of the driver out of it. So that wasn't as much of a fun experience, I guess, to drive. And I will say that I have huge plans for this car. So I've actually gotten in touch with Jeffrey Payne Tuning, who put me in touch with Performance Playground Engineering in Austin, Texas. This car will be going there shortly. I am literally just waiting on parts. I've already ordered all of my parts. And from what the figures kind of tell us, when this car gets done, I should be around 700 horsepower to the wheels, which in this car is extremely fast. So like the Hellcat, for instance, it was 820 wheel horsepower, and it probably would have ran a low 10 at the quarter, at the track, in the quarter mile. But this Supra is supposed to outrun that at 700 horsepower. So I'm going to show you some of the things that I've gotten for it. Currently, my Ecutech tuner is here. My charge pipe is actually here. I'm still waiting on the Pure 800 turbos, as well as some other components and parts that are coming in. One of the rear wheels here, this came from Titan 7. Look at these. They're just beautiful. Titan 7 forged wheels. They pack them with a cover. They pack them and ship them very, very well. So I cannot wait to actually mount tires on these and get this drag pack put on the car and see what it looks like. Especially, like I said, with the bronze next to this nice pearly white. It's going to be gorgeous. One of the other things I really like is this car actually, you know, not that you buy a car to get attention, but it actually gets a lot of attention. Like, people see it and they look at it and they're like, what is that? You know, it was kind of funny when I had some of my other vehicles, like the Hellcats. They don't really separate too well from the Scat Packs or the 1320s, or, you know, just hardly a regular RT. There's little difference that you can really tell other than the badges and maybe the hood. So it's hard for that car to stand out, especially with the amount of RTs and Scat Packs that have been sold. You know, the GTR even, I've had literally people, when I had the R35 and driving around, they didn't know what it was. One of the things with that car, it was like the people who knew, they knew, you know, and then you couldn't get them to leave you alone. But most people, your average person, they just assumed it was just some kind of sports car. This car actually, it demands attention, and especially with the way it sounds stock. I really can't wait to see how this one's going to sound. We're going a full Tomei exhaust system, the catted down pipe, and we have the charge pipe in there with that. So this thing's going to sound like a beast, I imagine. It really is a fun car to drive. As far as the driving experience, next to BMWs that I've owned before, any of those, it's really different. It's a different platform. It just feels good. The shifts feel great. When you're inside, it's an amazing car. Now, we'll get into a couple of things that I don't like. No, I am a bigger guy. I'm 6'1", 265 pounds. It is a smaller car, especially when you're just looking at it. It looks like a small car. Now, inside, it's very roomy. The biggest issue I have is getting in the headroom, right? So I really have to go butt first into this thing and then kind of move my head so that my head doesn't hit the top of this crossbar. But even being 6'1", you can see once I'm in the vehicle, my legs are extended fine. I mean, I can actually fully extend my leg. It's very comfortable, very roomy. I don't have any issues. I'm not scrunched up like I would be in a Miata or this Z06. It's actually a lot of room in here. It feels good, feels comfortable. I've still got plenty of room between me and the center consoles and things like that. So it's not really bad once you're actually inside the car. It's really just, you have to go butt first to get in so that you're not hitting your head here. The interior has some great features like the carbon fiber here. The way this screen looks. I'm not a huge fan of the BMW style menu selector. That's not really great to me. It makes it hard when you're trying to drive and pay attention to this and you're over here. So the screen setup in the menu, especially when you're like listening to music or something, that is a little annoying to me. The other thing, one of the things that I didn't see anybody really mention, and to me, obviously we're in my garage, there's no garage door buttons. So there's no garage door opener buttons anywhere on the vehicle. So I actually have to lug around my garage door remote. I don't really care for that. And also the sunglass holder. There's no sunglass holder. There's obviously space here, you know, and I obviously wear my sunglasses around. And I like to put them up so they don't get scratched. And usually most sports cars that you have will have those features. You know, nobody else has really mentioned that. But other than that, the interior, I mean, this leather feeling here, I mean, it's all nice. It really feels well made. So, like, another thing about just comparing this car to the R35, the R35 interior really was a letdown, especially for it being such an expensive car. This one really feels nice. I mean, you feel like you have a nice sports car, luxurious interior, or what you would expect with a sports car anyway. So those would be some of the complaints. The no garage door remote opener and the no sunglasses part up here. And maybe the menu navigation. I'm not really a huge fan of that. Onto the seats, the way they look, the way they fit, the way they feel. I mean, these are gorgeous. These seats look beautiful. They actually have larger bolsters. So even, like I said, me being my size, I'm very comfortable in this vehicle. Again, another thing to the R35, the bolsters in the R35 were very small, very tight, and it was very uncomfortable to drive long distances. When I brought it back from a 4-hour trip, I was just ready to get out of the car. This car I drove around all day, never had a single comfort issue. It really, really felt nice. The other thing I don't really particularly care for are the fake vents. I mean, they could have done an open grate here or something. It's just these fake vents. I don't like that. It's not particularly great. The body lines on the car are very aggressive. They look really good, especially some of the people that I've already seen modify their cars, and they have them lowered, which I do have Airlift 3H system coming. So I'm about to put this car on air ride. It's not just going to be a show car. It's getting horsepower, as I mentioned before. But the air ride will make me, get that more aggressive look, and I'm going to change the wheels out. But I don't like the fake vents. I just feel like they could have done something to maybe make them functional, or at least look more functional. I don't know. Maybe that's just being a stickler. Who knows? The other thing that I would say is slightly annoying is owning such a controversial car. Obviously, when you go to car shows or car meets, you got people, oh, nice BMW, when they really don't know what they're talking about. So you kind of have to educate some of those people. And I'll admit, I was one of those people as well. When the first concept design came out for these Supras, I really liked the way they looked on paper. When they were actually built, I didn't like them as much as I liked the concept drawing itself. But it still came out to be a beautiful car, and it is one of those cars, when you see it in a picture or online, it doesn't look as good as it does in person. In person, this car looks amazing, especially with a few modifications. So far, all I've done is tint the windows. That already set it off tenfold. So the misinformation that gets spread out there, that's kind of one of those annoying things about the car. Just because, like I said, you have people, hey, nice BMW. And other YouTubers have explained this. There's a guy on YouTube, I can't remember his channel name exactly, but it's Thick. Cheers to you, dude. He's been doing a lot of Supra content, and I will put his info down below so you can go check out his car, because he's got a nice build. And I think he's going to be slightly less horsepower than me when I get done, but he uses the same tuner. He gave a lot of great information, but he explained it best. For this build to happen, BMW had to get involved. For them to bring out this Mark V, it had to happen with BMW, which makes sense. And it's actually a better version of this car, this inline six. It's a great engine. People are building these things at over 1,000 horsepower and still on stock internals. Nobody has really pushed the limits of this car so far that they've blown them up, to my knowledge, yet. So that means it's a great platform. So what you get is German engineering from the BMW side, and then Toyota reliability and quality control, because Toyota came over, tightened every bolt. If there was something they didn't like, they changed that aspect to make it a reliable car that you would get from any kind of Toyota that you go buy. So you get the best of both worlds. You get some top-notch German engineering with your engine and chassis, and then you get Toyota that comes behind it, and they make sure that all the bolts are tightened down and all the screws have been set in. So you really are getting the best of both worlds. And having owned both BMWs and Toyotas in the past, and Mark IVs and Mark IIIs, I can tell you this is the best Mark Supra that I've ever driven, because you get all the current amenities, the qualities. You get the lane assist, you get the adaptive cruise control, the nice interior, the good AC, and everybody screams 2J. I get it. 2J is a legend, all right? But it is an outdated legend, okay? If you want to build a race car and that's strictly what you're doing, sure, go grab a 2J, go spend the same price on a Mark IV that you're gonna spend on a Mark V and enjoy it. Some people are JDM purists, and that's your whole thought process, and I get that. I don't want to get too far into all that because it's not really what this video is about. It's just my personal experience with owning it and having driven this car for about a week now. Like I said, I am absolutely in love. So if you are thinking about purchasing a new Supra, this is definitely, I would recommend it, 10 out of 10. I have no remorse, no guilt for trading in my 820 wheel horsepower Hellcat for this car. I think that it's gonna be a great platform to build on, and I'm really excited to get some of the tunings done. So before we go, I will mention one thing, because there are some videos that show about the tuning, and I do wanna show you guys this because it's really, really simple. If you're planning on just buying the car just to drive it, and you don't have any plans to modify it whatsoever, that's fine, get it, it's a great car. But if you are planning on modding it, there is something that I learned. It was the first step. The ECUs, there is a certain specific year, it's June of 2020. If it's June in 2020 and above, you cannot tune that car. So you have to go check this out. If you're at the dealership, it's real simple. If you're looking to buy one, all you have to do is take this right cover off of here, and there's your ECU sitting right here. There's gonna be 2 clips in here. And if you put your hand down in here, you can feel these clips. I mean, you can see I'm doing all of this one-handed. You pull these 2 clips down, and when you do, you pull this ECU up. Like so. So it's just these 2 plastic clips. Once you pull the ECU up and out a little bit, you can see the dates right here. So this will tell you if your car is tunable or not. So you're gonna wanna make sure that if you look at that, it's anything that predates June of 2020. Mine is an actual 2020 Supra, but my ECU is dated for 2019, so mine's perfect for tuning. I'm gonna be able to go and get my tunes done without any problems. That is one thing you could check. You could do that in 2 minutes at the dealership. So make sure you check that out before you purchase the car if you have plans to modify this car whatsoever. Which we have plans on making this thing an absolute monster. I can't wait for it to get done. So guys, stay up to date on everything that we're doing to the car. We're gonna kind of keep piecing things together. But as far as the actual tuning and engine work goes, that's all gonna get done at one time. I've already been in direct contact with the shop, the speed shop, and the tuner, and they are really, really nice people. Jeffrey Payne, highly recommended. I haven't even used his tune yet, but I can tell you, I've dealt with other tuners in the past, especially when it comes to Mopar or, Ford tuning or any of those people. And a lot of those guys kind of act like, you're not worth their time. They have other things to do. They're real push-offish and whatever. Jeffrey gave me a parts list. He stood behind everything. He said, hey, here's what you need for your goals. He asked me what my goals were. I told him. He really sat down and sent me links, showed me the parts that I needed to get. Because, again, this is a new platform for me. I've never had a Mark V, obviously, and this is my first one, and I want to know the limits. I always like to be as fast as possible safely without getting to that gray line where you're going to detonate the engine or have major issues down the road. So he gave me some tried, true, and tested products. He really took his time to make me feel, to teach me which is really not common of most tuners, if you guys have ever had anything tuned before. So Jeffrey Payne, it's been absolutely amazing, and so has Curtis over at Performance Playground. Curtis has really taken his time to say, hey, we can add these parts, we can do this, and he works with Jeffrey Payne. So these guys work together. They're going to end up doing my performance installs, or my parts installs, and the tuning, and I just cannot wait. There are several things that I'm buying that are on back order right now, 3 to 4 weeks out, I think, on the Pure 800 Turbo. So we're going to have to wait on those to come in before we can take the car and really go officially drop it off. So it's going to be a slow process build, most likely, just because we are waiting on the parts, but all the parts are ordered. And then after that, I do plan on doing the Street Hunter full wide body kit. So stay tuned for that one as well. We're going to order that right after we get these parts in. I've been in contact with Street Hunters. Those guys are really awesome too. So if you're looking for any parts for an A90, those guys are very, very easy to deal with. And to me, they just have the best looking body kit. So follow me, guys. Make sure that you stay tuned for more build on the A90. I'm going to actually do a video on the Z06 soon, and we're going to talk more about that. And hopefully that's FedEx bringing more car parts. We'll see. And if it is, hey, we're going to get some more stuff. So guys, make sure you're staying up to date on the build. Thank you very much for watching, liking, subscribing, commenting, and we hope to see you soon. And get ready, because we're about to make this thing fast. Can't wait, guys. I will catch you later.